Oh yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Atlas Katari here with you for Alaska Startup Week. I'm this year's statewide co-chair alongside of my friend Kelvin Good. And you're going to learn today about what we do and how many other people are actually not just us. So as you can see on the title screen, the dates of Alaska Startup Week are in October this year. So traditionally, we normally have this event in November. We might have heard it in the previous years, maybe not. But this year we're doing it a little bit earlier because we find that people, especially in Alaska, we're quite seasonal workers. We're really gearing up this season. This is the season where people are starting to think again about what they want to do this year and what they want to finish this year like. And that's very Alaska. And so we changed the dates this year to hopefully capture more of that like early enthusiasm. So it's 1 week, dozens of events, and it's 100% volunteer. Now that doesn't mean it's all free. This does not mean that there's not paid events, not sponsors, none of that stuff. There's absolutely encouragement and sponsorship in all kinds of forms. But when it comes to the doing, when it comes to the getting your hands dirty, it's 100% volunteer here at Alaska Startup Week. So what we're really trying to do here is, can you still hear me? Test, can you still hear me?
If you stay really close to the mic.
Really close like this?
Perfect.
Okay. So our goal here with Alaska Startup Week is to bring our community together so that we can build our state's economy. It's not just celebrating all the things that we're doing, it's also taking note of the things that still need to be done. Alaska new businesses create 10 times more business or jobs than new existing businesses. Our startups are the job creators of our economy. We deal with a lot of different kinds of problems in this state. We're not just a normal tech startup state. We have a big need for agriculture and food security. We have huge mariculture and animal protection preservation economies. We have obviously amazing community centers and diversity. We have so much going on in the state beyond just like tech and traditional corporate business. And that's what Alaska Startup Week is really here to bring light to, is all these different challenges us as Alaskans deal with. And that includes the mental well-being part too. We deal with seasonal depression, all of us. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the brightest, happiest person in the room. And I know at the end of winter, you're feeling a little down. Just is how it is. And of course, new kinds of networks as well. I find that Alaska Startup Week really pushes everyone's to their wits' end. And by the end of the week, you have gone to so many events, talked to so many people, talked about a lot of problems that kind of bum you up, but then a lot of opportunities that really excite you too. And so by the end of it, by the time we have that wrap-up party, we are tired and we are authentic because we don't have time to show up with any kind of other agenda. Our team structure, as you can see here, is something I hinted at the beginning. So we got 2 statewide co-chairs. That's me and Kelvin this year. And we kind of run the whole project management, I would say. We're not the ones on the ground reaching out to volunteers or reaching out to event hosts or sorting all the minute details. We're the ones supporting you to figure out, oh, is this event a good idea? Or who else could we tap into network-wise to bring more interesting conversations into this event that you're already putting together? And of course, we're also there to support and answer questions. So statewide co-chairs typically start at a volunteer level. So down there at the bottom, you see the volunteers. These are the people who are, like I said, on the ground running, flyering, reaching out to businesses, just telling people about what Alaska Startup Week is. And then traditionally, those volunteers will then level up to a city lead if they want to. If they enjoyed their time with the first year of Alaska Startup Week, if they love what we do, if they want to keep doing it, we ask them to maybe take on a little bit more responsibility. So the city lead role is the people who reach out and actually create the events per city. They're the ones who keep in touch with the event hosts or the venues or their volunteers. As you can see, they host their volunteers. And they're honestly, I'd say the people who are doing a lot of the event coordinating, from what you see out of Alaska Startup Week on the receiving end, it's the city lead's work. Now, that all has to come together somewhere, and that's where the statewide co-chairs come in. And then as people go through Alaska Startup Week, if you've done it 3 years in a row, you could just hop right into that mentor role. You know what we do, you know why we do it, you know what it looks like and what it looks like done well, done bad, and everything in between. And at that point, hopefully, 3 years of networking like that, hopefully you have a good network too. All right, so this year we actually had some unique problems, which is why I'm here today. We have done this thing, gosh, maybe 12, 13 years in a row. It's been different variations. It hasn't always been Alaska Startup Week. It used to be Alaska Entrepreneurship Week, I believe. But we had some unique challenges this year because our original sponsor, Techstars, changed up their sponsorship or support model with us. And so because of that, this year, our two big new problems that we had was a new website, and we had to create whole new processes for scheduling events. We basically well, not basically, we did lose our event scheduling system, and that causes a lot of problems for an event like this, where you have like 100+ events in a single week. It's not just the event of Alaska Startup Week, it's every other event, including 1Mcups, in that week. So luckily we got started early this year. We did finish the new website, as you can see, but we're still fine tuning those new processes. And then we still have the traditional problems, or I suppose the roles to be filled every year, which is finding volunteers and communicating. Like I began this presentation with, we have new dates this year. That's a big thing to communicate to people who are expecting this event to be in November, and it's not. And so communicating has been something that I personally have struggled with, but I've also felt it team-wide, where it's sort of like, we're not on the same page, but we are, because we know what to expect. So I am excited to talk more about that in the Q&A section. And so our solutions, we are putting together a welcome kit for new event hosts. So this is a document that will be handed down year after year to statewide co-chairs, city leads, volunteers, and pretty much everyone. And I'm sure it will be built upon year over year too. A simplified scheduling system. So right now our system is a Google form, a Google Sheet, and a website. Very, very simple. And we've gotten a lot of praise actually in response to this, because in previous years, people got confused with the scheduling software. It just was they used it once a year and then they forgot about it. And so it was like re-educating every single year, which hopefully this problem brings an actual opportunity for us to simplify that. And then of course, I'm presenting here today to hopefully talk to you guys more about more solutions that we can get. So thank you so much for your valuable attention today. Please check out our new website. It's akstartupweek.com. We also have a pre-existing Facebook group, Alaska Startups Group, but we have a new Facebook chat in there where you can like DM everyone if you want. Turn off your notifications, please, if you don't already. And then our email address is always the same, alaskastartupweek@gmail.com. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it is. I realize that now.
For those that could not hear the question was, the email was AK Startup Week, and the answer was yes.
I'm typing it in the chat.
What other questions do we have for Atlas or the Alaska Startup Week?
Yes, I was closest to the mic, so I could hop right in there. So I don't have a question. I would just like to say two things. And first thing is, I got a copy of the Startup Week schedule onto the Accelerate Alaska website last night. And so there is out in the world now a live version of that schedule that folks can take a look at. And so it exists.
What's the URL, do you know?
It should just be acceleratealaska.com. And then there's going to be a schedule page on there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that statement one is, that we've got that schedule on there. So thank you for helping to make that magic happen. Statement number two is just that I would like to say thank you, because I know that organizing and bringing events like this together is a big lift. And that we all have lives on top of the volunteering, on top of the things that we were trying to do. Everybody is, trying to run a business, trying to make stuff happen. And it's a lot. Yeah. And to your point, shifting things in the year is a shift. And it takes updating people to help them understand that the shift has happened. And, it's just part of the growing pains of moving that schedule around. But thank you for stepping up as a statewide organizer.
Thank you. That's a great way to put it, is growing pains. It's something we have to deal with, but it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's part of the growth.
And my question was just for people who are new to Startup Week, could you tell them like some of the events we've either done in the past or like what we might have like going on this year?
Yeah, that's actually weird that you mentioned that because I definitely made a slide about events and it was not there. Weird. Canva, what are you doing? I did have a examples events page from events that we're hosting this year, actually. So a few of those were like our kickoff, which is also going to be an Alaska Economic Outlook. That's going to be hosted actually by a couple people in this room. And it's going to be a big kickoff event to really not only connect everyone to Startup Week, but to connect each other and bringing different groups of entrepreneurs, maybe even people who don't see themselves as entrepreneurs. When I say that, I think of people like artists, musicians, maybe even like food truck owners who don't think of themselves as an entrepreneur, just a business owner. There's a big identity acceptance that comes with the label entrepreneur, in my opinion. And so bringing all those people into the same room together to, show them that we all kind of have the same problems. We all have the same, not the same problems, but the same, environmental struggles. Another event is, for example, ADHD and owning a business. It makes it very difficult and different, but that doesn't make it impossible. They're also hosting a roundtable with Mayor Bronson, which is Anchorage's mayor, and there's one last one Marketing for Startups by Launch Alaska. They're going to be hosting a marketing event for people who are new to business, new to marketing. So you can see there's kind of a broad range of events there. It's not just like workshops, but it's also like in-person events celebrating each other. It's also networking events, of course, but maybe under different lights, with like Mayor Bronson, for example. And then of course, there's webinars too, because we all need some new information to keep us fresh. Laura, I see that your hand is up back there. Let's get you a microphone.
I'm trying to get the link between Accelerate Alaska and Alaska Startup Weekend. So if I post an event or host an event on Startup Week, does it end up on this schedule?
Yes. So for right now, yes.
Okay.
We are working on getting a live schedule on the Alaska Startup Week
But
website
this
too.
is the schedule for
But that is an accurate depiction of our schedule. Yes.
So last year, the Alaska Women's Business Center, which was brand new, did host Square One, especially for Alaska Startup Week. We'll offer it again this year, so look for it on the schedule. Square One is our introductory business class, and it is free for participants. And then secondly, we were part of a dinner and a guided conversation that was really well attended. And so Carrie Jean Shepherd, as you know, is part of planning the Alaska Startup Week this year. So we will be involved. I want to tell you all that I got feedback that the Alaska Women's Business Center was one of the entities, and there weren't a lot. So I want to encourage you to think about being involved and offering the participants something that you have expertise in.
Yep, absolutely can echo that. I have personally found a lot of business growth from providing a 1-hour webinar during Alaska Startup Week. There's just people you wouldn't reach, people who are in your community, people who you can probably go, depending on where you live, sit down and have a coffee with in person, even if they attend a Zoom webinar. By the way, all of my webinars are online only for my comfort and the sake of it, but you are welcome to do in person, online, or hybrid. It's completely your choice.
This is Melanie. I want to give a quick shout out to Atlas for having grown from attendee to volunteer to city lead and now to statewide lead. A
Very
huge
natural
thank you to them
progression.
for- That's all. Thank you, Atlas.
Thank you.
Are you running around?
Yeah, you can do it. You want?
This is how Alan gets his daily steps.
This is. It's pretty much this. Running around with microphones and jumping to conclusions. That's the only other.
So Laura's not in the room anymore, but Laura asked a great question. What is the connection between Accelerate Alaska and Alaska Startup Weeks? And so in the past, Accelerate Alaska has been a conference that has happened in Anchorage, and Accelerate Alaska is shifting. And so Alaska version 3 is now the organizer and host for Accelerate Alaska. And we're expanding it beyond just a conference. It's also an event series. It's a way of engaging with community and fostering community. And so as part of that, we're helping to support Startup Week. And part of startups and being nimble is figuring out ways to get the work done. And so that was a place that we could put the schedule. And so we're helping out. I'd also like to thank Kai for posting the correct link to accelerateak.com for the website.
Thanks, Kai.
So I've been instructed to talk about events, some events that we're working on. So everybody please save the date. I'm looking at everybody on Monday, October 2nd. Atlas mentioned it. We were talking after 1Mcups a few weeks ago, me and Ryan and Carrie and Kai, just talking about having a kickoff event for Startup Week that just allows all the different entrepreneurial ecosystems and resources and entrepreneurs to come together and just basically get some shared goals, priority, excitement, and look at what a redefined Anchorage or Alaska could look like with everybody working together. And so the vision was inviting as many people as possible, all the different little, entrepreneurship camps, inviting entrepreneurs and trying hard to reach out to different communities and making sure everybody feels included, and then hosting a speaker from a city that kind of went through a similar thing as Anchorage, where they might have been, dependent on one type of income or one revenue stream, and they had to replan, re-strategize, and revision. I think it was Calgary, right? So the speaker will be coming from Calgary in Canada and talking about what they did to basically revitalize their community and trying to inspire us to do the same thing here. So everybody is invited, and details are still coming out and being worked on. And it's at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, which I'm really excited about. The other thing I can say that kind of popped in my head too, talking with Melanie, was just not fleshed out at all. But I'm like, well, we're going to be having that venue all day and got to figure out something. Maybe in the morning we could do something around entrepreneurship, wellness, or I don't know, just something. I don't even know. It's just me speaking it into existence. My brain's like, we don't have those conversations enough. So yeah, but number one main thing is Alaska Startup Week kickoff at Alaska Native Heritage Center. Goal is to invite as many groups as possible who support entrepreneurs, and as many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, self-employed, whatever you want to call yourself, to come and visualize, call to action, and plan together. Who wants it? I don't know how this name speaks.
I'm gonna speak out loud this chat in the Zoom room. Amy Slinker with the Association Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, JBEAR, is hosting a workshop for their members. It's called Securing and Organizing Your Social Media Accounts to Protect Your Business and Set Up for Success. It's a guest speaker and a social media strategist, Jenny Biller probably. It's on Thursday, October 5th at the boardroom, 4 to 5 p.m. The workshop is 5 to 6 p.m. There is a limited amount of seats, so I would recommend following up with Amy Slinker at the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, JBEAR, for more info. They're going to add the link to the event schedule, the Accelerate Alaska event schedule.
Gary has a question.
Oh, go ahead, Carrie. You said unmute.
Good morning. Hi, great to see you guys. Can you see more than my eyebrows today?
Yes.
Thank you again. I'm just so thrilled with all the organizers. I did want to just report out for those of you who are joining us from other cities about what some of our areas outside of Anchorage are hosting. SuWk has done such a great job. This is a combination of local business owners, the Chamber of Commerce, and the city of SuWk are hosting their third year of really strong programming. One of their popular events is called Ladies Who Launch. I'd like to take credit for giving them that name. It's a nationwide program out of California, but I thought it was so perfect because they host the event out of the Seward Harbor area. Anyway, it's a meet up with an inspirational speaker. They have such a fun time. They give away a lot of prizes. And that's an easy way that you can celebrate Startup Week without a lot of lift. I realize this event is 3 weeks away. So if you're on this call right now and you're thinking, I am really not sure what I could pull together, don't overthink it. It's better to just have some gathering and we'll send you free swag that you can give away than to do nothing this year. So I would just say little challenge there to like host something. If you're a business owner on this call, I would say, showcase or, gather a roundtable of people or maybe showcase a new product that you're excited about. And I think that's a great way to just get involved. Lastly, we'll be broadcasting the kickoff event, which we've done nearly every year. And what's nice is that you can also have a watch party. A couple of years ago, Wrangle got together at a local pub and broadcast us on what would normally have like sports or games, why am I missing that? Sports pub stuff. And they just broadcast the presentation. And I think that is just like another way to like connect statewide is to join our kickoff event on Monday. Kai, did you get a chance to talk about our guest speaker yet?
I have not.
Okay, I'll pass the mic.
Good, thanks. I've been working with David Yiptong, who is in Calgary, and some of you know that I've spent a lot of time following what's going on in Calgary and making visits there to learn about the economic transition that's happened in Calgary over the last 10 years. They are very much an oil, gas, and mining town, and 10 years ago saw their economy stagnating, declining, and embarked on a journey to embrace innovation, entrepreneurship. They set a goal for 1,000 new tech startups by 2030 and began shifting and really waking up to what was already going on in the community. I think Atlas's introduction was brilliant in terms of recognizing the breadth of the innovation and the impact that it has in Alaska. And as we look at energy transitions, food security, climate change, this is the future. And Calgary has been doing this, and David will be up here to share what's been going on in Calgary to help kick things off and give us a picture of the path they followed and maybe help us thinking about the path that we have ahead. So I'm looking forward to sharing more about him and encourage you to be looking for a couple different opportunities we'll have to meet him and chat with him.
Thank you both. I'm very excited for this kickoff event. It seems it's definitely in good hands, and for the first time, I'm excited we've found another economy and another environment that actually feels very similar to Alaska, as opposed to maybe Silicon Valley.
What other questions do we have today?
I think that's crickets.
Yeah, just you, me, and Jiminy.
Well,
All right,
if I can, this is
last call in the chat. If you have.
Oh, Alan, I think Kai had something to say.
My apologies.
No worries. I've always got something, I guess. No, I wanted to just kind of dovetail with everything I've heard so far. And I want to re-emphasize that the intent in Startup Weeks is to get a bunch of startups to open their doors and share who they are, what they're doing. So we've got a lot of great events coming together that bring us together and have opportunities to learn and do some networking with new skills. I've got a Collider event I'm working on Wednesday. But the real core of this ideally is getting the startups that are in our community to open their doors, have an open house, invite people to walk in the door of their startup if they have a real startup, to have opportunities to learn about them. So I really want to encourage us to try and fill up as much of the schedule as we can with opportunities like we've had before, where Pasquale and Jennifer and Linda, and I'm missing another guy, have had the open house, for example, over off of Arctic, where you could walk in the door of Alpine Fit and walk in the door of Alaska Manufacturing and walk in Alaska Coffee Roasters and Fishyware. Heather's had something with Heather's Choice before, and we've done stuff with some of the breweries. And it's that exposure that we're trying to bring out in this event. So as you think about your organization's events, that's great. We need to put that on there. It's a wonderful time to have that capacity building. but let's also each be looking for the entrepreneurs that we know and trying to figure out how to put them on the center stage and make them the focus of some of the events and some of the effort that we put into going out and meeting them where they're at doing their business. King Street, Beaded Stream, and 2 or 3 other startups are down there. So hopefully they're doing an open house too. So look for that. The other final comment for the moment is getting folks to schedule an event really takes an ask. It's not a passive sport and just hoping that they will do this. I've just found over the years, if you know somebody, reach out, grab them by the scruff, show them the form, or in many cases, there's a lot of the events each year that come about because I've called somebody, I've reached out, and I've just said, when would be a good day? And then I go fill out the form and get it on the schedule for them to do this. So it's not a passive sport. And one of the things we teach, and one of the things that is so powerful about entrepreneurship, is you learn to kind of have to take some extra initiative to get things done, because things just don't happen if you just wait for it to happen. So please, let's look for as many entrepreneurs as we can and make this about the entrepreneurs and celebrating, showcasing them and making them a focal point. And let's be proactive about finding the folks and helping them get on the schedule and making this a great week that lifts up the whole ecosystem. Thanks.
Thank you, Kai. I think you noted some really good points. I would say that if you're stuck on like, oh, I can't host an event, well, you can hold space. You can hold space for other people to come together. And that's a very, very simple way, like Umoja does a lot, to bring people in the room to talk to one another and to figure out their own things. You don't have to have all the answers, but you can have the space. Lisa?
A comment and question I had is, I did live in practice in southern Southeast Alaska for 17 years. And so I really want Alaskans in that area to participate in Alaska Startup Week. I think it's very relevant. And I was wondering if the Alaska Women's Business Center could host an online open house so that people could get the link, they could come and talk to Carrie Jean and myself, and that could be accessible to people all around the state. We do have a physical space, but my heart also includes people that are not in the large urban area.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. When you said that, it brought to mind Alaska, AKSBDC's website, and how many resources are on there that are just untapped. People just either don't know about them, or they can't access them, or they're just not used to website navigation.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a whole library of on-demand business training that Alaskans can access once they register for services. And so similarly with the Alaska Women's Business Center. So yeah, I think that's something that we would be interested in scheduling.
Perfect. Yeah, it reminds me as well, during the pandemic, so many museums opened up like virtual tours. Wouldn't be exactly the same. You don't have to have 3D art or anything, but such an interesting way to, bring that experience to many more people.
I just wanted to make one other comment, kind of following up with what Kai was saying. I want to put it out there because it's always hard to get people to show up for these things. And, in my mind, I'm fine if 1 or 2 people show up, that's going to be just fine. But I wanted to put it out there. So I'm going to host a workshop online so anybody can join for people who are interested in expanding their sales outside of Alaska. So somebody who maybe already is doing business here and they want to try to figure out, is it worthwhile to go online and try to sell to the lower 48? I have thoughts. So
And experience.
So yeah, I think it'll be a fun workshop. I kind of put on there, there was a requires registration or not. I feel I created a form so people could add information. And anyway, the other thing just to say is I just put it randomly on the calendar. So like I'm super flexible on when this is. So I'd like you guys to keep that in mind.
That brings up a really good point. The volunteer team is here to support event hosts. So I know I mentioned that, for example, like I don't get on the ground dirty with event hosts, but if I know you or if you only know me, then please come to me. We have so many resources like that welcome kit, but that welcome kit includes like social media posts, images, or a step-by-step walkthrough of how to put your event on Eventbrite. Like it's very much here to support you so that you don't have to do all of that lift, even if what you think is what you're doing is really simple. There's still a lot of follow-up, there's still a lot of communicating, there's still a lot of checking in and making sure it is on the event schedule correctly, or that that is the time you're going to do it. And similarly, if you are, for example, like where Laura's at, in the event process, you may not have all the details, or you may not really care exactly what time or day it ends up on. And so you'll find that there is a little bit of event switching around, especially the week prior to the week of. And so the final event schedule will definitely be posted all over the place. But the one that is on accelerateak.com right now is, for now, the final schedule.
Outstanding.
So I would just like to reiterate that I think what you did was excellent. You picked a time. You said, I want to have this conversation. I think it's important. If you're interested, come show up.
Yep.
And that is as complex as it has to be. You know, just if you want to have a conversation, if you think that there's something that's important that relates to startups, put it on the schedule. Talk to us about it. Like, we're here not to be gatekeepers, but to be supporters and help amplify the work that is going on within the ecosystem already, because there's a lot of great stuff that's going on. But the challenge is we're all so spread out that sometimes it's just hard to know that it's happening. And so that's one of the reasons why we're hoping that Startup Week can help with that. Yeah.
Not only that, but there's a lot of conversations that I'm not the person to talk about. Plain and simply, whether it's a gap of knowledge or simply, a gap of experience. I can hold space for pretty much anything, but there may not be a connection to why I'm holding that space or why it matters to me. Other than that, I know it matters to others. So I think it's important to really think about, like, what's something that comes natural to you? What's something that is your day-to-day life? And how can you bring others together around that one thing? That ADHD event is mine. I have ADHD, so I'm going to be teaching the literal things I do day by day to help me manage my business and my mental state too.
Hi, my name is Ayana. So I'm fresh here, like new,
Welcome.
And there, thank you. And there's like so much information going on. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not lost. I just didn't want to ask no questions.
It is part of the process.
So like, so the startups, I mean, like, I said, let's see, who can host the events and what takes place at the events? I'm lost. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So it's because there's so many kinds of events that you could host anything, and the content of the event could be anything, which is confusing, totally. And so, for example, like an open house, an agenda for that open house would be like, okay, we're going to open the doors at here. At this time, we're going to have maybe refreshments and drinks or not. Sometimes people have like a fire pit. It's up to your location or not. You could also just open your doors and have people walk in and ask them if they're here because of Startup Week. And if they are, then you just have a conversation with them, ask them why they're here. And that's the extent of it, is just talking to people. If you want to attend or host a webinar, then that requires, of course, a little bit more consideration to the content and like how you're going to present it and like what you're going to talk about. And so if I can recommend anything, it's to keep webinars to 3 points max. So you don't give people too much that they can't process that. So for example, with the ADHD class that I'm doing, I've already kind of put it together where I'm going to teach people how ADHD shows up without knowing you have ADHD. And then what the common thread between all of that really is. What is it, the kind of thing that you really are struggling with? It's called executive functioning, by the way. And then finally, actual practical ways to not fix it, but manage it and work with it. And then, something beyond just the content is I also think about purpose. I think a lot of us do. And the purpose for me is for that class specifically is to kind of destigmatize and in yourself too, that like something's wrong with you, or you're broken, or you're not normal, etc. And so a lot of the classes that I teach, especially for Startup Week, or a lot of the spaces that I hold, it's space that I needed. It's a place that I needed when I was growing my business, or it's a community I need now, you know? Other examples of events that you could host without too much like lift is like a panel conversation. So if you know a couple of people who could have a really good conversation, bring them in the room together, have a topic, and then that's it. They just talk. You just ask questions and they talk. And that's the whole thing. And people find a lot of value in that. Other things that you could think about is just make networking events. So similar to like an open house where you just open your doors and let people come in rather than it being about you. It could just be about like the industry you're in, for example. So the first Startup Week that I went to like a food networking meet and greet, and I'm not in food, but I was in social media and I knew I could help people who ran businesses around food. And so I met one of my long-term mentors there. And so we never did like work together, but we have a relationship that has extended way beyond that one event. And so I think that when you consider both what you're putting into it and both what you're getting out of it, you don't always know what you're going to get out of it. And so focusing on just like how much or how little you put into it is, I think, the best way to approach it. So you don't stretch yourself too thin.
So one of my struggles is, so I do short-term rentals,
Mhm.
and I just don't know my place. Like when it comes to these things, like how can I find resources? Excuse me, is there any place that actually, I just don't know how I fit in to getting services or helping grow or, I don't know.
Yeah. So it sounds like a conversation that's waiting to be had. I'm sure a lot of so by short-term rentals, do you mean like Airbnb or yeah? So I've actually met someone recently who runs an Airbnb who is like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's very common. I think an event that held space for how to host an Airbnb and not you necessarily teaching it, but maybe you just bring everyone together and you're just like, we need a meet and greet for Airbnb owners or short-term rental owners, if that's, the lingo that's
So
more
when you say
commonly
open your
used.
doors, you would say host it at your Airbnb type of deal?
If you wanted, or you could do it online. And so you open your doors is literally just a link.
Okay.
You could host it in Amuja. You absolutely could. Yeah. So that brings up another point to like physical venues. We have plenty of people who've actually reached out about having the space, but not necessarily having the time to host an event themselves. And so there are places that are definitely willing to open their doors for you to have that conversation. I think that's a brilliant event idea, by the way. I think holding space for short-term rental owners, new short-term rental owners, or new and old, a mixer, a networking event, like just something like that would be super helpful.
And just to throw in, I mean, that's one of the purposes of 1Mcups is to create a space like this for folks like yourself to come in, scratching their head saying, I'm frustrated, I'm struggling, I don't know where to go.
Yep.
You're in the room with the people that can potentially help you. So I look forward to when we get to the networking part after the visual part, make sure you gather some business cards around the table.
Carrie, did you have something to say?
Oh, and now I'm off mute. Hi there. Great to meet you. I would say talk to Lisa Nolan because we offer free business coaching and it's a great entree into the community, among other things. But also, I have actually been talking to a couple, I own a short-term rental as well, and I've been talking to a couple longtime owners in the area to see if they would host like a best practices and also just kind of like just to get to know each other. And most of our questions are honestly around scaling and housekeeping. And we have a fantastic startup called Keepers that participated in Startup Week and was part of the pitch competition. So anyway, if you wouldn't mind following up with Lisa, I'd love to get your contact information, but let's definitely plan to meet up during Startup Week and we can maybe co-host something together.
That would be so fun. Keepers, by the way, is a startup that helps short-term rental companies find housekeepers. So it's literally like a boop, like matching networking type deal. And it was started here in Alaska, right? Is that right, Carrie?
Yep.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
They were a G beta cohort member, I believe.
Any more questions for me or about Alaska Startup Week?
All right, let's hear it for Atlas, everybody.
Thank you.
And now let's go ahead and move into the community announcements section here. Does anyone have any community announcements? And we can start with Atlas as our host. Do you have anything?
No, just Alaska Startup Week.
Right on. Okay. No pressure to come up with anything else here. Lisa.
So I'm
Anybody
Lisa
else?
Noland from the Alaska Women's Business Center. I know I've announced that before in the same meeting, but let me say it again. So what we're doing is we're providing free business coaching, free and low cost business classes and referral for business lending, along with discussing different options for you to fund your business and scale your business up. I have a couple things to tell you guys about. First of all, Carrie Jean Shepherd is in Valdez this week, offering drop-in clinics and our introductory business class. We're very excited about this. I'm going to stay after 1Mcups today until 3 o'clock here at Umoja, co-working and incubator, to discuss with anyone ideas about your business, and it's called Drop-In Clinic, and Alaska Women's Business Center will be here one Wednesday afternoon per month, this month, October and November. And then quite likely, if Jasmine agrees, we'll continue next year to come one afternoon, one day per month to offer drop-in clinic. So that's news from the Alaska Women's Business Center.
Awesome. Who's next? Double mic. There we go. All right. What do we got in the chat here? Kai? I would never have guessed that. Real quick, yeah, let's go to Kai, and then there's a comment there from Carrie.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. The Startup Digest went out yesterday, so if you haven't seen it, look for it or go to Alaska Startup Digest to see all the events that are going on. There's quite a bit happening, as you might imagine, here in the next week or two. In particular, I wanted to highlight today at 12:30 at Umoja Co-working, we're having our monthly Alaska Innovation Alliance meeting. This is a growing network of startups and Department of Defense and university related startup and innovation activities that are looking at how to look at taking the challenges faced in our communities and the challenges that are also faced in the military operations, and developing solutions that help both. So if you're interested in that, what we'll be working on today is the Collider event that we're going to have during Startup Week. We're going to have an event at the Seed Lab that will provide an opportunity for defense and community folks to work together and actually do some brainstorming on some shared problems between the areas there. So anyway, check out the digest for more information. And I was planning today on going over a little more detail about the digest and some transitions, but I'm going to put that off to another week when there's some time. This has been a good discussion today. Thanks.
Excellent. Tasha, would you like to unmute, or do you have a comment you'd like me to read?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks everyone. I've been here online the last few weeks and really enjoy listening in on the conversation, and sorry I can't usually be there in person. I'm trying, but in regard to Startup Week, unfortunately the Anchorage Chamber just doesn't have the bandwidth or the manpower right now to host an event, but our boardroom is available for rental, and it holds up to about 40 people. It has Zoom capacity and good sound and all that kind of stuff. And then we're also happy to just spread the word. So with the events coming up, I'm happy to put them on our member events calendar, pass them off through social media and our young professionals group. And if anybody needs volunteers for anything, I could put that through to the young professionals too. We have a good force there for volunteers. So
we definitely need volunteers for Alaska Startup Week.
All right. Did you have more than that?
Oh, I don't know if Tasha heard me or not, but we definitely need oh, okay, cool.
And I was going to add, is there a website that you could share that they could go to for that?
For, oh, the boardroom rental?
Yes. Well, or for how they would get in touch with you or the chamber.
Yeah, sure. My email is Tasha with an O at anchoradechamber.org, and I'll put that in the chat as well.
Excellent. All right, last call for community announcements. Sweetness. Well, that's curious. Showing me a different screen here. So let's see if I advance this screen. Do we see it? We do not. Un momento, por favor. This is a professional organization, everybody. We are very highly funded and know exactly what we're doing at every second. We want that. There we go. Look at that. Hey, all right. Here's our social medias, our socials. If you'd like to join us online, the conversation doesn't have to end because we're done here today. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, 1MCups.com/Anchorage. Tell all your friends about it. Let them know what's going on. You, again, come here for a very good reason, to support the entrepreneurial community in our town. So help us grow this community. Help us get more people in this room or joining us on Zoom. The future of our entrepreneurial community depends on you. No, I'm just kidding. Only you can prevent forest fire. I'm just kidding. If you'd like to, yeah, right. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, isn't it? Me, I'm the only one. If you'd like to get up here and present at a future 1 Million Cups, it's not my joke, by the way. I totally stole that, so don't credit me. You're welcome to do so. Go to 1MCups.com/present, and you can get registered to come up here and join this stage. We've had some amazing business owners go through these stages, through this stage. And that will be our conversation today. Thank you so much again for joining us here at the Umoja Co-working Space or virtually online on Zoom. We encourage you to join us every week, 10 a.m. right here at 3001 Porcupine at the Umoja Co-working Space, or again, online. You can find our Zoom link at 1MillionCups.com/Anchorage. Big shout out to our sponsors of 1 Million Cups, including AK version 3, the Alaska Coffee Company, AK Coffee Company, the Umoja Co-working Space as well. And we thank you for joining us today and look forward to seeing you again over another cup of coffee next week. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Carrie, you still in there?
Hi, I sure am.
Oh, I was just going to say, let's hang around for a second and
Oh, sure. That'd be
see
great.
if we can chat, or we can hop off on a different channel for a second and see what they're going to do.
Okay. I don't think they can hear us anymore.
I don't know.
Oh, it's still
Alan,
recording.
yeah. Alan or Ryan, if you can hear us.
Alan's there.
Alan, if you
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. If you wouldn't mind, can you transition, change the co-host to me and then stop the recording and go ahead and
Let's see, who is the co-host?